Welcome to Tammany Tech 101. I'm Grant Black, Director of Technology for St. Tammany Parish Government. Our goal is to ensure that our citizens grow in their digital literacy. Today on Tammany Tech, we talk to Michael McNeil, IT Director for St. Tammany Parish Assessor's Office. Michael, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, Grant. I'm glad to be here.
So how long have you been with the Assessor's Office?
So I've been with the Assessor now for 11 years. I started in 2013.
Wow, that's a long time. That's nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So what kind of prepared you for this role with the Assessor? What did you do before?
Yeah, I think, I really believe that like you're kind of an accumulation of like all of your experience. And so, I worked at a number of different places before the Assessor. I worked, my first job was as a cartographer for Intergraph in Huntsville, Alabama. And, there I kind of learned like the importance of like creating high quality end products. We were making nautical charts that were being used for navigation around the world. After that, I went to the city of Slidell, so there I got kind of experience with public sector and serving the people of the citizens of Slidell. Mm-hmm. After that job, I worked for a gas utility company called Dominion, and there it was more like working with big data sets, like collaboratively with like a big team, getting some skills in that space. And then finally, before the Assessor's Office, I worked for Northrop Grumman, and there I kind of stepped into management. Managing GIS professionals, the importance of documentation and creating like high quality standards manuals and following, procedures and processes. And also like creating like an environment where like your smart people, your GIS professionals can thrive, where they can work autonomously, feel like they, kind of own what they're doing a little bit. I just saw people flourish in that environment. So I think kind of all of those things have now like prepared me for this job, where we've implemented a lot of the same stuff there at the Assessor's Office.
So you've kind of gone from public roles, City of Slidell, in private Dominion. So you work both places. Do you like public better?
I do like public better. I feel like this kind of speaks to me. There's a inherent sense of meaning with the work when you're working for the public. I mean, I am a citizen of St. Tammany Parish. I live in Slidell. So I
live in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, I know, right down the street. I could have walked to your house today for this. But yeah, I just think like that just inherent meaning in the work itself really just gets you off to a great start with what you're trying to create.
Yeah, I agree. I really enjoy public sector work as well. So with the Assessor, what is this role? What do you actually do for the Assessor? And really, what does the Assessor do?
Sure. So the Assessor basically is just, the role of the Assessor is to identify, list, and value all real property and business property in St. Tammany Parish. The Assessor also like manages any special assessments or exemptions, things like the homestead exemption or senior freezes. And then, in a nutshell, the job of the Assessor is to, list and value all these properties. We're trying to be between like 90 and 110% of market value. And so, just maintaining quality data and just making sure that we're hitting our target there when it comes to values in the parish.
So I guess sometimes people feel like maybe it's arbitrary. There's a lot of science and technology that goes into these assessments when you talk about, the 80 to 110.
90 to 110.
90 to 110, I'm sorry. There's a lot of data that goes into that. So can you talk a little bit about how some of that's pulled?
Sure. So, we've added the GIS. That's a big component, and that really has helped us, just with the identifying and locating where properties are, and then find maybe where we had some data inequities, or we were missing maybe some improvements or just some square footage on properties. So like just adding like some of those data elements to the Assessor's Office, the GIS specifically, has kind of allowed us to really like quality control the data that we are collecting, square footages, the size of properties, just things like that, just to make sure that we are fair and equitable across the board.
Sure. So you guys, you talk about GIS, and you guys run pictometry. So there's a lot of visual data you're using. So now you're actually able to find houses that maybe you wouldn't have found before.
Sure.
Talk about some of that.
Yeah. So that was like that was a big push. The first couple years that we were there was just how do we use this technology to make the data better. And that was one of the first things we looked for. Is like, all right, we got these two snapshots of imagery, of aerial imagery in like this 4-year period. What changed since the last time, and what is showing that we have a building on a property, for example, and our tax roll is not showing a building on the property. So we were able to go through the entire tax roll and see like where we were missing buildings or where buildings had changed significantly, and do a lot of that work in-house. And by extension, since we could do it all in-house like that, we could touch more properties and get more of the data right.
So basically, if a roof changes shape or gets bigger, you're able to see that pretty quickly.
Yeah, so that's the change detection that pictometry provides for us, and so yeah, it's exactly that. Like if something changes between the last time they took the imagery and this current imagery set, we get like a delivery of that data. We can visualize it on a map, and then we can do the appropriate things with the data.
So the end goal of your GIS basically is make sure everybody is fairly assessed, evenly across the board.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
And I think that's kind of been y'all's reputation since you've been there. Which I didn't realize you've been there 11 years. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
So what is the parcel project?
Okay, so the parcel project is kind of the first, that's kind of why I was brought into the assessor's office. Is one of the things that Lewis wanted to create was something that the public can touch, like something they could see and use on his website. And what they wanted to do is create a map, basically. So the parcel project is that effort to draw all of the boundaries for all the real property in the parish, the active ownership information, put it on a map, and show it to the public via an interactive map.
That's pretty cool. So when did the parcel project start?
So we pretty much started that when I got there, 2013. Our first area, like a kind of a pilot project, was to work the Abita Springs area. We liked what we saw there, and we just kept iterating, and eventually got to the point where we're past 130,000 parcels now.
So why Abita?
Well, Lewis was from Abita Springs, and we did have some data there from the previous administration that was already collected. So we thought that was a good spot to just go ahead and start, and that's what we did.
Well, it's also almost a dead center of the parish.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So what are the goals going forward?
Yeah, so going forward, we're looking for ways to just create more high quality data, right? So we're thinking things like AI, automation, cloud services or cloud storage for our data. Just iterating on some of the things that we're doing now. You work in technology, things are changing constantly. So just keeping up with that change and continuing to improve the products that we have out there for the people, to meet the people where they are.
So you mentioned AI. Where do you see AI fitting in with enhancing this data?
Yeah, I think that AI, is really a good tool for us to investigate because of the amount of data that we have. Allowing an AI or a way into that data just to kind of look at it to make sure we've got good collection of data, good quality data. Have the AI kind of investigate like where we should focus our efforts potentially.
So more directional, basically, kind of pointing you into how to enhance.
Sure.
So do you see citizens interacting with like an AI chatbot type thing?
I'm not sure about that. We have a lot of different channels right now that we're allowing our citizens to contact us, whether it's the phone, email, even on our parcel map, the citizens can get in touch with us. So we're not exploring that quite yet, but I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah. So what data will constituents find on your parcel project maps?
Yeah, so the big thing you're going to see is the visual data, right? It's the parcel boundaries. You're going to see that, which are just a representation of your ownership. That's the one thing we wanted to stress from the beginning of the project is we're trying to create a reference map. It's not necessarily the same thing as a legal description of your map, but it's still a useful tool. And inside of those boundaries, we collect we'll show attributes like ownership, property description, addresses, things like that.
So when you say it's not a legal map, how close is it?
Well, it depends on the area. So, if we have like a subdivision, that's pretty well built, new especially, we get the plat maps. It's pretty dead on. Some of the properties in the country, it's a little different. They shaped irregularly, so there's issues there. Plus, we always, as cartographers, have to take cartographic judgment into consideration. And one of the things that we considered was like, when people see this, we want to make sure it makes sense. Like, we don't want parcel boundaries going through the middle of a house. So sometimes you have to make little adjustments just to make it look right.
Sure. It's funny, when I started looking at parcels the first time, I always see this beautiful straight line going across our parish. And the first time I looked at the parcels, I was like, what? Why? How many parcels actually cross the boundary? And it's like the north part of the parish. It's almost every parcel, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. Like those boundaries are man-made, right? So, and the way ownership is divvied up is not necessarily adherent to those man-made boundaries.
And potentially the parcels were in place before the Washington Parish, St. Tammany Parish separation.
Possibly. Yeah.
So what challenges did you guys face going through the parcel? It's a huge project.
Yeah, we did have some technical hurdles, and from the very beginning, we knew we needed, people power. We needed more professionals to come in and help us with the collection effort. So it took some time to build the team that we have, but we have an outstanding team now. Really proud of the work that they're doing. I think now the biggest challenge for us is finishing. We're about 95% of the way through the data set. The last 5% is going to take 90% of the work. The remaining parcels that aren't drawn on the map yet, we're talking about like property description errors, maybe some adjudicated properties, maybe some properties that should have been washed out a long time ago but weren't. There's a lot of data quality issues with what's left. So I think we're at that stage right now where this is like our biggest challenge, is like, how do we get this final 5% finished?
Okay. So we'll take a short break and we'll continue our conversation with Michael McNeil. We are back with Michael McNeil, IT Director for the St. Tammany Parish Assessor's Office. So Michael, we just got through the parcel project. You've been there 11 years and you guys have really been known for advancing and really come out with a lot of good mapping data. What's next?
Yeah, so I think I touched on the implementation of AI for one. We're already using some AI to help with like programming and automation. I think, we talked about the cloud, maybe putting some of our data in the cloud, maybe our assessment system in the cloud at one point, just because it would be an increase in efficiency as far as like the way the system operates. Just based on some of the conversations we've had with some of the other counties that use this assessment system, it seems to work better if we go to the cloud.
In a major event, you guys immediately go out and reassess when there's damage to a property. So I guess putting it in the cloud could help out there?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Because then our people could have access to the assessment system from wherever they are. So if they are in the field, doing a field inspection of a property, it's right there on their machine. They can update the data right there in the field.
Yes, I know like during Hurricane Ida, you and I worked together with sending data back and forth as to damaged properties. I think we did an even better job with this last event where we had field maps and had data within hours, and you guys flew a drone?
Yeah, so that was the Slidell tornado, the recent tornado in Slidell you're talking about. And yeah, I really do appreciate the collaboration between us and y'all. I thought just the speed at which we got that data and the quality of that data was very helpful. And then we were able to get the drone in the air basically less than 48 hours after the event. So we got a snapshot of that damage. That way we can help the taxpayers who were affected by the tornado with the reduction when the time is right.
Yeah, I think it was great because we had our field map data, which actually the governor came down and looked at, and we had it ready. I think within 24 hours of the storm, we had pictures of the houses that were damaged, had a map of everything, and then structural assessments, ready to be reported. And your drone came right at the same time. So I think the two together really it was nice teamwork.
Yeah, it was, and I was glad to be part of that.
So we've talked about going to the cloud, and we kind of talked a little bit about cyclomedia. The parish had run LiDAR data, which basically shows ground elevation and the imagery of the front of houses. We did that for repetitive loss houses, for flooding, houses that have flooded multiple times. You guys have used that data, I know, in the past.
Sure, yeah, and that's one of the things we're looking at is all of our imagery providers. So whether it's Eagle View, which we're on a 2-year schedule right now, where we're updating the aerial imagery every 2 years. Cyclomedia for the street view of properties, and they've got some really cool things now where they can actually take pictures of the front of the house, and we can extract that data and associate it directly to our assessment numbers and have it go into our assessment system automatically. And we're also talking about the drone. Whenever there is a storm and we need to get out there quickly and respond, we can do that with drones now too. So imagery has been a big part of helping us operate.
So I think before you got there, before Mr. Swartz took office, you really didn't see a lot of this digital imagery. I think we saw a little bit of parcel mapping, but you guys have really come a long way and imagine it's affected how quickly you're able to adjust and make changes to your assessments.
Yeah, for sure. I think the efficiency and the speed but also the quality, and that's kind of where we focused our effort, is just making sure that we're getting high quality data in, because we know that once we do that, there's so much more we can do for the citizens of St. Tammany Parish once we have good baseline of data. So yeah, I mean, the investment in GIS, I think, has paid enormous dividends for the office and for the people of the parish.
I think in St. Tammany Parish, I think from what everybody's told me, the only area that has multiple agencies working together, sharing data. How has that GIS district really helped you guys?
Yeah, I think it's the marketplace of ideas, right? And it's important. We all are very busy in our day-to-day work. It's important to step out of that at times and to just share like what's going on in your organization, and to hear what's going on in others, because there are often times that you can help each other out that you didn't know about and you wouldn't know about unless you were having those conversations.
So just getting in a room, once a quarter and just talking. I think actually they've had technical meetings now. So there's actual technical discussions going on about new products, new advancements, and just what people are doing. So that's really been a good group for us.
Yeah, for sure.
So if people want to come by and see the assessor, where are the offices?
So the assessor's office is located, the main office is in the courthouse in downtown Covington, and then we have a satellite office at the Towers building in Slidell.
Okay, do you need appointments?
No appointments are necessary. We do offer Zoom appointments though too, so if you can't make it to the office, we will meet you where you are. With a Zoom appointment, you can always call us or email us too.
Okay. So the assessment bills, when did the assessment bills come out?
The bills usually go out in November, right around Thanksgiving.
Yeah. If we want to challenge or I guess.
Yeah, so that's important. So the open roll period is during August, and that's when public inspection of the roll. That's when we want you to come in and like interface with what changes may have happened. This is a reassessment year for us, so there's going to be a lot of changes across the board. So we want to make sure people are aware of that and that they have the opportunity to come in and talk to us about it.
As with the rest of inflation, I mean, housing market has gone up.
It has, yeah, and it's really great if you're trying to sell your house, but
you're buying right back into the same market.
Exactly, exactly. So,
okay. Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you being here.
Yes, thank you.
And join us next time for Tammany Tech 101.